To rise this morning on Bill 225, the Public Schools Amendment Act, Universal Screening for Learning Disabilities. It is a matter of equity, opportunity, and social justice. It is the key to unlocking the potential of thousands of children who can often slip through the cracks of our education system. I want to begin by thanking all of those who have contributed to this legislation and who have taken the time to consult with my office on this legislation. We have been consulting for well over a year now, Honorable Speaker. Several of the people who we consulted with and who contributed to this legislation have joined us today in the galleries for this debate here this morning. We first introduced it here in the House on March 26th, and I'm very, very open to any amendments that both the government or official opposition may have. It is extremely important legislation, and it has the ability to be passed here in the legislature as early as next month with the support of all of those in the chamber. Now, this bill is about ensuring that every child, regardless of socioeconomic background, receives the support they need to succeed. The right to literacy is a fundamental human right that will change lives. Currently, Manitoba's 37 school divisions do not have a clear or consistent direction with respect to screening assessments for reading. This bill allows Manitoba to join many other jurisdictions in Canada who mandate universal screening for all students. The bill amends the Public Schools Act to require all students in kindergarten to grade 3 to be screened twice per school year for learning disabilities by educators using a screening tool that must be formally approved by the minister. It further states that parents and legal guardians must be informed of their child's screening results within 30 days, and school boards must use the screening results to guide further assessments and allocate specialized resources accordingly. Now, just for a bit of background, several years ago, it was shared with me how for decades, Manitoba has struggled with literacy outcomes. I've since done a deep dive on the issue, and according to reports and stakeholders, there is a literacy crisis here in Manitoba. Only 40% of students are reading at grade level, and for Indigenous students, the numbers are even worse. These statistics are not new. They have remained unchanged for over 20 years. We know this in part because of a 2008 report published by the Manitoba government that found Manitoba educators and stakeholders were calling for a better method of screening learners. And despite multiple educational reforms, one thing that has remained constant is the absence of a standardized, universal approach to identify learning disabilities early on. Now, Honorable Speaker, students with low literacy skills are more likely to leave school without graduating. If they do manage to graduate, they are more likely to be unsuccessful if they enter post-secondary education. And this extends to adults who struggle with literacy being more likely to work in entry-level jobs. This ultimately creates a cycle of inequity because socioeconomic status is the single most powerful predictor of educational outcomes. Further, those who are not literate have a high likelihood of living in poverty. Approximately 65% of those receiving social assistance struggled with literacy, and 70% of inmates entering federal custody have less than grade 8 level literacy levels. Allow for me to table all of the stats that I just shared. Now, through consultation, I learned about why early intervention is so important. For one, children's brains are most malleable in their early years. And when children struggle in silence, they will often develop behavioral challenges stemming from academic frustrations. Further, I learned that experts in speech-language pathology and literacy development stress the importance of evidence-based interventions. Take, for example, Evergreen and Louis Riel school divisions. They have been leaders in structured literacy, implementing universal screening and seeing significant improvements, particularly among Indigenous students. Now, Honorable Speaker, I want to acknowledge that on Friday, April 11th, the government announced they would implement universal screening. I want to be very clear. I first brought this forward through legislation on March 26th. I am choosing to believe that this government made this announcement because they intend to support Bill 225 here today. I'm sure the minister is aware that parliamentary rules state that an MLA, including ministers, cannot discuss or release the details of a bill before the bill has been introduced. And furthermore, after consulting with concerned teachers and specialists about this government's news release on Friday, it was made clear that there are important clauses missing from the government's announcement. Firstly, educators must provide the results of the screening to pupils or parents and parents or legal guardians within 30 days after administering screening. And secondly, the school board must ensure that further assessments and other specialized resources are allocated based on the results of the screening. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, another concern from stakeholders is the vagueness of the news release, which will again facilitate inequitable access to education, as some school boards will adopt the spirit of universal screening and others may not. This vague approach to education is the reason our literacy rates continue to be well below average. We owe it to our students, educators, and families to do better. So in closing, Honorable Speaker, a great deal of consultation and work has gone into this legislation. I'm very open to any amendments that the government or official opposition may have, and I hope to have unanimous support when this bill comes to a vote here at second reading at 10:55. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.